Hello, traders. Today we have part two of the saga of Tim Furey, CEO of TradeView Markets, and how that became an idea from when he was in Florida as a prop trader living at mom and dad's to being an international brokerage firm with offices all over the world. Mike will be with me as co host. Tim, welcome back. I think we left you as a prop trader, and I can't wait to find out when the idea came to you where, you know what, these brokers make a lot of money. I'm going to start a brokerage. So
Yeah, yeah.
tell us what was going on then.
Yeah, well, first I want to say shout out to the Tradeview Markets Iguanas. They just won the Heineken Trophy. The season's over and they won it all. Now that I'm retired from playing, I can support it on the sideline by, you know, having a team. So that's my enjoyment on the weekends. Yeah.
All right. So why don't you tell us what happened at Schoenfeld when you were prop trading and what the next chapter, next page was? How did that end and what was your next step?
Yeah, that how it ended. I guess it was a dark time in history, and I was on the desk with Mike V. It was 9/11, and we were in the first off, we should probably back up, Mike, and kind of tell the story. Like you like to make fun of me this way. Well, when I first came into Schoenfeld, right? I came from another firm, and I had success over there, and that's why I was able to get into Schoenfeld. And I wanted to be with a great trader. I asked that to be one of the things when I come in and team me up with a great trader. So go ahead, Mike, take it.
All right. Yeah. So the bottom line is I was having a desk at Schoenfeld. That would have been established at that time. This is 2000, 2001, give or take. And when Tim said he was sitting on the desk, it took from there. But the bottom line is I had, as I said, I was a leader of the desk and a trainer at that point. And the manager comes to me and says, I think you're really going to get along with this person very well, which subsequently wound up being right to this day, some 20 some odd years later. But even then, so I was sitting in the room at the edge of the desk, always on the corner to be able to either run out or run into the room. So he says, okay, this gentleman's going to come in later. So I go, okay. So I'm walking back to my desk and Mark Rosnermatch is behind me. He goes, hey, Mike, there's a guy I want. So I walk out of the room and I poke my head out the door and freaking seriously, by the way, after 20 years, the story does not get embellished because, by the way, I think part one was part of the black uniform. So we come barreling down the hallway. It was a long corridor, and I stick my head out the door because I wanted to greet him like a gentleman because he told me he was coming down. And he's got a black V-neck. I think he had the black Corvette at the time. Always loyal, still has a Corvette, and the shorts. And he's barreling down there, and I say, holy shit. I said, I hope I don't owe this guy any money because the closer he got, I said, look at the fucking size of his trapezoids. Huge trapezoid, guys. I said, and I'm Tim. Nice to meet you. How are you going to help me? And where are we going to take this thing together? So it was emblematic then of what Tim did then. And we wound up, I don't know how many years he wound up sitting next to me, Tim, but one of the things is, besides, remember, is that some things you can't forget, like, where you were where the president got shot or where the Columbia, I was sitting next to Tim, shoulder to shoulder, 9/11 hit. He was looking at the television and he said, there's another plane that's going to hit. And lo and behold, another plane hit, whatever it was, 11, 12 minutes later. And I think that was basically the highlight of your Schoenfeld career, Tim, because at that point, I was a little ahead of myself. I probably didn't give you your due diligence. If you had me working as hard as I did now, then or at least with pride, then it would have been a different story because back then I was in and out of the office a lot, but that's how I met him and nothing changed.
Mike V, did you short airline stocks on 9/11? Like, did you short airline stocks on 9/11.
No, I was mixed that night. I didn't have anything I didn't have anything of consequence.
That was the premise of that series, Billions.
Yeah, and this happened all pre-market, before the market.
Yeah,
opened.
I remember.
But I do remember having a conversation that week, but like airline stocks did seem a little off. We noticed it after the fact.
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing we looked at is, was this
Relative weakness.
Yeah,
They were relatively weak.
right. They were.
Amazing how the market knows before the events. Still,
So that's how we wound up meeting, and
but we thought that was strange. I remember looking at that. Yeah. So what happened is because of that event, it really kind of really hurt the industry. It hurt the trading industry. It hurt, being a prop trader for a company. There was fear in the market. They didn't know what was going to happen. The market was closed for what, 2 weeks? It was the most, like, what's going to happen, over the next 2 weeks? Are we going to have a job? So
yeah.
the day we came back, they cut our trading lines, probably in half or to a third. And then, if it was just hard to trade out of this mess if we had overnight positions. And it was harder to make a living because the volume came down tremendously. And, I had to, start looking for another career. Right. At some point, I stuck it out for another year and a half. And it's just hard to make money. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was after the, .com bust too, a year later. So it wasn't so easy going into 9/11.
Me, you, Dave Dunham, Bransky wound up at the Holiday Inn, hoping we weren't getting bombed on 9/11. And basically, I think I got you. I think I pointed you to the direction in another job. And at that point, just like you said, the volume started drying out, and you basically had to pivot from there. So what happened?
Yeah, the relative strength, relative weakness compared to the market, it just wasn't really working like it used to. Right. So it was dying because too many people knew about it, and it was harder to seize the opportunities. And everybody was worried about risk and cutting lines. So it was time to do something else. It was time to do something else for me, and at the time, I was playing rugby, doing well with it, and I wanted to give Old Blue Rugby in New York a shot, and give New York City a shot again, because that's where I'm from. So I moved back to New York City, went on a ton of interviews, and I had a decent resume, and I was competing for the jobs, that people from Columbia University, and all the higher up
Blue Blood University. Yeah, Blue Blood.
It still mattered a lot back then to a degree. So to get in there, it wasn't back then. It was a matter of actually who you know, not who knows you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Goldman doesn't hire people from state universities.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
So the point is, Tim wound up at Merrill. I mean, back that point was a top 5 brokerage firm. Schoenfeld Securities, because Stephen Schoenfeld's considered the godfather of trading. So he's all around it to a degree, building up bits and pieces. It is what it is. So the next step was what, Tim?
It's just trying to figure out what the next step was. And, so what I did do is, I always do a lot of research. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I tell, the younger generation is, when they're confused, when they're looking for something, go to Inc. 5000, right? Inc. 500 is the magazine. And then once a year they come out with this thing. It's called Inc. 5000. And what it does is you see the top growing trends over the past 3 years. You see the private companies that are growing the fastest over the past 3 years. So I'm researching, and there's different categories. One's finance. I'm researching all the companies in the finance, and I saw there was Forex brokers in this category, and there was a couple of them. So I started going to their websites, researching them, going into their LinkedIn profiles, studying who the CEOs were, and I'm like, you know what? This is a hot market. This is what I should get into. So I got involved with the company in New York City. It was a company called ODL Securities.
Right.
We weren't licensed yet in the United States, so they didn't have a budget, and I had to come in. I had to work for free because they said we'll hire you when we get the budget, when we get approved. And I'm like, you know what? How about this? I'll work for free. Just give me a larger percentage.
Yeah, right.
Sales. And they're like, all right, deal. So I went in there, and then they finally got regulated probably 3 months later. And there was a group of 6 of us at the time. And I brought all the business in, and the other 5 in the New York office went out drinking all day, having fun. I'm doing all the work. I brought all the business, and they weren't giving me, the New York office wasn't giving me my fair split. It was frustrating at that I'm doing everything, and these guys are off not doing a thing. And then the owner of, at the time, of ODL in London, he gave me a call. He's like, I'm not happy with the group you're with. I'm getting rid of them. And it's yours for the taking. Wow. And I'm like, well, I'm frustrated. I was either going to leave, move on, or this is an opportunity. So I took over it. I became the principal, and just kept bringing in business, and lots of it at the time. So that's where I got my taste of the business.
Right.
And from that, I learned the ins and outs of running an office, and seeing what a company does, how they do it, and I was very good at getting business, developing relationships. I didn't call myself a salesman. I called myself a relationship developer.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, Tim, when you picked up, seriously, it's a lot of common denominators. When you picked up the Inc. 500, if you will, that once a year Inc. 5000, you look for strengths, relative strengths. What businesses, like you said, the last 3 years were doing well. Then you pick that relative group, for example, Forex, and pick a sector within that group and pick the top degree of relative strength, maybe ODFL. And, you were young enough, fortunately, to take the hit to work for free, because you could, at this point, you take risks, but that really.
Yeah, what was the year, Tim? What year was that when you were in that office and took it?
But, I really didn't have the money to go out and have the fun during the prime of my life. Yeah. So
You believe so? I would say this, Tim, that something you've demonstrated. This isn't the first time I've heard that you've negotiated a deal and you were willing to work for free with something better coming on the horizon. First of all, that's an unusual mindset for most people. And second of all, that you worked, you're always looking for the next step, and your persistence and living through adversity is kind of a theme in your life story and career. And, you could be a great mentor for other people because of your journey. I'm curious, did you have significant people, mentors along the way that helped you, that you can look to and say, yeah, he was a big influence on my life and really changed it for me?
Yeah, and this is a good question, Dale. The saying is, hungry dogs run faster. That's the saying. I was hungry. I was starving at that point, right? So, in order to succeed, hungry dogs run faster. And where I learned that was in college. I had some really great mentors, and a lot of them were coaches. My high school coach, And then my college coach, the head coach, is Coach Cav, great mentor. And then the offensive coordinator was a man named Jeff Stalin. Now, Jeff Stalin, this is, in 94 when he was, 1994 when he was young. He was a go-getter at the time. And he was an offensive coordinator. I was a fullback. And so he was the one that really taught me everything. And one of his sayings was, hungry dogs run faster, right? And it just makes so much sense. If you're hungry, you have the desire, you're going to find a way to win, right? And this was the hardest working human being I've ever met in my life. He had, such a positive attitude. And here he is, coach. He tells you if you're starting or you're not starting, or if you're on the sideline, right? But, that's a hard decision to make because you're going to upset people. And, we all respected this guy. And even if we were on the bench, we still loved this guy. I mean, this is the type of guy.
Yeah. So it's really interesting that your athletic career is what carried you in your professional life, of having that attitude of you don't lose till you quit.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I'll tell you this. When I got into the workforce after college, I always thought, what would Jeff do? He just had this thing with the positive attitude, and he just worked harder than anyone else by 10 times. It was insane to watch. It was insane to watch this human being work.
How fortunate for you to have him in your life and your paths cross. So, when you were thinking about TradeView, when we were just talking about the office you took over, was that really the beginning of what grew into TradeView?
Yeah. So in 2004, this is 20 years ago. In 2004, I came up with the name TradeView. And at the time, we just managed clients' funds, right? We get, not many, a couple of clients that wanted us to manage their money, and I had all this trading experience, and we managed their money. Now, what happened is, it was an okay business, but I was still working for another company at the time, and I got involved with the startup, Future Commission Merchant, a startup brokerage. And so I put TradeView on the hold, on the sideline, and, the clients on the sideline. And, we went from here to here in 2 years. I worked hard. I really didn't get my fair share. And I mentioned it on the phone to them one day, and they're like, "Hey, Furey, what are you going to do?" I was like, I couldn't believe it. And then I hung up, and I'm like, well, they dared me, So that's when I left, right, and started TradeView.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's in 2006, 2007. That's when I had the name in my pocket. I had the vision, right? I had the idea, and I'm like, all right, if I'm going to do it, this is when I'm going to do it. So I broke up and I started TradeView.
I mean, what I think from having, it's very difficult to be a good trader to begin with. Like, Tim has the risk management background. Obviously, when he started TradeView, he had a couple of clients' money that he was dealing with. Would really, I have to give Tim the biggest pat on the back. I still want to learn.
Yeah, switch gears from being a trader, having a trading mentality, to being an entrepreneur and building a business.
And that's the thing with TradeView. I want people to come in and help me build this company. To where my vision is how do I go from trading to opening a brokerage? Well,
great.
The saying is, the gold rush, right? Back in the old days, one guy struck in California, right?
He sold picks and shovels.
Got out. Everybody wanted to go out there and dig for gold, right? To strike it rich. And there was one guy that made all the money, right? He had the general store, right? He sold the axes, the picks. He even sold the map where X marks the spot, right? And what he did as a hobby was dig for gold, right? So what happens is all these people that wanted the easy life, the quick life, the get rich quick life, They went out and dug for gold, right? And they fail. They'd have to go back to the general store, sell their picks and shovels for 10 cents on the dollar, even cheap less than that. And then the owner, would go back to the site and see what they did wrong. And then he'd strike it rich. So he had a pulse on the market. And, I think that's probably one of the most important parts of trading. Because in trading, you don't make money every day or every month. I mean, you could work your butt off all month long and be negative. Think of this. I work so hard the entire month. Man, I'm down 20 grand. Like what did I do? I worked for free and now I'm down 20 grand. I got to make that back. That's the life of a trader. And if you have that stress, you're not going to be successful. So trading
Or healthy, Tim.
Yeah.
Correct. Trading should be done as a hobby, right? Now, it's how big you get with the hobby. Obviously, I love trading. Trading's in my blood. I like to trade, right? But I also came across since I was a floor trader, every tick and every cent you spent on commissions and stuff was very important, right? So what we put together here is, what the trading conditions I get as a professional are the same trading conditions we give the clients, right? So we're giving the clients what I'm privy to. And, and that's why, and that's the whole concept of TradeView is I'm a trader. I walked in the shoes of every trader out there. Trust me. From when I got out of college, from reading every book there was about trading to trade at the Chicago Board of Trade, right? Get in fights, doing this, get in fights with management, because I had this passion for trading. And now I could say, this hobby of mine of trading is a successful hobby. And I don't have to worry if I have a down month or down 6 months, right? I don't have to trade to make a living, right? I trade to make money now.
So, a lot of people go, well, why do you have a business if you're so great in the markets? Why do you need to have another source of income? And you just explained it. Smart people do that. And it takes the pressure off your trading when you have other revenue streams. It's a revolving door business, Tim. Brokers spend a lot of money on advertising trying to get clients, and they lose them either from the client blowing up or just burned out. It's high turnover. What would you say TradeView's retention rate is because you're a relationship builder?
Over the years, we've had over 100,000 clients. The lifespan of a Forex trader is anywhere from, 6 months to many years. A lifespan of a money manager is a long-term relationship with our company because they're around, they're managing clients' money. The relationship with the online stock trader is generally a lot longer because they're in it for more of the long term in the long run. So, with TradeView, we start out with just really Forex trading. Then we grew into online on-exchange stock trading, which, Mike V and myself, we know very well. And we know you have to be privy to some really, really tight rates so you can put some serious volume through. We run the desk, when the high frequency trading happened, is we're doing some big volume back in the days with stock trading.
Tim, can I end it with this, or at least go on this topic? You're okay where you are, knock on wood, I think, like that. So you also want everybody else and giving your coworkers the best opportunity to succeed right now. Is that right? So besides rugby, I mean, if that's what you're doing here, as they say, after the market closes in your career right now outside TradeView?
Yeah. The mission is, how do we add more value, to other people's lives?
Right.
How can I do that with our clients and also our coworkers? And my job is to make our coworkers better every day, every week. I'm very involved with that. I'm a big believer in that. If they listen to me, great. you know, the younger generation, they don't always listen to you, but I try my best. I try to give them, the word of wisdom and how to be successful. And the reason I can, preach this is because I did it, right? I walked in the shoes of them when they were treated unfairly, when they didn't like what was going on, and that's another reason why I got in this business. Is I saw the opportunity. I didn't like the way I got treated, right? I didn't want to do the same thing to others. I also saw I saw that as an opportunity where I can go into this business and destroy it.
So knowing your modus operandi, Tim, you have a successful company and you have a future vision of where you want to take TradeView. You want to share that with our audience?
Dale, I swear to God, it's not an easy business. The reality is, the marketing wanted me to get out there more in the public, do these blog casts or whatever you call them. I'm like, fine, I'll do them, So I'm like, here I am getting on a plane. Here I am traveling,
Yeah,
Dude,
saw that one.
Travel. I hate traveling, I'm on a plane for 6, 8, 13 hours traveling to go here, go there. Dude, I think about retiring at least 3 times a day, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, when the weekend comes around, I can't wait for Monday. Oh, no.
But I know one thing for our coworkers, it's a family style office. As international as we are, there's very little turnover. I've been here basically as long as I was with my other firm, so there's very little turnover. That's emblematic of how we're treated. It's emblematic of where we're going, and it's emblematic of how we are to portray the product across all the financial instruments that we have to offer. And I definitely speak for the other 150 plus coworkers.
Tim, people call me coach. You're the coach of a big team, and I've been around, and it's one of the best places I've ever collaborated with in my career.
But you know what, Coach? It's not where we are; it's where we're going still, because we're hungry, and hungry dogs run faster.
I'm a greyhound.
And listen, there are moments where we have a fun time doing it. It's not fun every single day, but there are moments where we have a fun time doing it, and that's a big thing, and everybody could see that.
Yeah, I really appreciate your time, Tim, and it's great life story. Write a book.